Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rendezvous Photography. I've had uh, several requests from in comments about my printing skills or something like that, I guess. But people want to know my printing workflow or how I print my pictures that I show you nearly every week. And I've made promises, and I said I was going to do that. I was going to make a video or two about that. And, well, today's the day. So we're going to print this one today, this old barn. And I hope you enjoy this video. It's quite a lot different than what I've been doing, I'll tell you that. But I think you'll enjoy it. So let's get into it. Here we go. Thanks. A few days ago, or maybe it was a few weeks ago, I can't remember for sure, I was watching a YouTube video on photography, and the presenter was talking about the Canon G9, and he referred to it as a junk camera. And that didn't hit me right. I don't think it's a junk camera. Of course, he went on to say that he was really impressed with the pictures he got from it. He bought it secondhand, but I just didn't. I don't think it's a junk camera. It's a small camera for sure. It's got a small sensor, but yeah, I just didn't agree with it. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at pictures, that I took with that camera. This is from 2010, May of 2010. I had a lot of fun with that camera. It was my travel camera, and whenever I traveled, that's a camera I took with me, and I took a lot of pictures with it of my friends, places we went, and someone the other took a picture of me, and my brother got a hold of it one time and took that picture. I guess it's a belly button, but I got a lot of friends pictures with it. Anyway, I was impressed with it, and I was just looking through, and I don't think it's a junk camera myself. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, I guess. Anyway, so I was looking through these pictures, and I came across these pictures of where'd it go here? Let me look. Yeah, of this old barn. This barn is in the upper Yakima Valley near a little community called Tampico. It's where I was raised, and born and raised right in this area. And this is up in the Cascade Mountains. This barn set in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains. And it's a neat old barn. It was built in 1869, and it was kind of a landmark. And so at the time in 2010, my mother had been diagnosed with a brain tumor, and so I made several trips down to Yakima that year. It really wasn't for pleasure, but because I would spend a lot of time with Mom, and then she would need some rest. So I'd hop in somebody's car, and I'd drive to the mountains because I loved the mountains up there in Tampico. Anyway, so I'd go up there and I'd go to this barn, and I'd take pictures of it with my little Canon G9, and I got some nice pictures. And just within the last, I think, 3 or 4 years, this barn was torn down. It was demolished after sitting there all these years. Some people bought the property, and from my understanding, they couldn't get a loan on it, a mortgage loan, unless they tore the barn down because it was deemed unsafe. And it was probably unsafe indeed because the insides were getting bad, and yeah, it probably was dangerous, but it was a shame that they had to tear it down. anyway, because of that, I've put some of these pictures I've taken, I put them up for sale, and I've sold a lot of pictures of that to people in the Yakima Valley who had a special attachment to this old barn, and some family members and a lot of people who just enjoyed looking at it. So I'm glad I took these pictures with that Canon G9. Anyway, today I thought we would grab one of these and process it a little bit and edit it, and maybe we'll print a picture of it here. So I'm looking at this now. I've never really worked on this one here, the 0186. I haven't really worked on that one. Some of them you can see up here. I've worked on, and edited them and sold them, but I don't think I've ever worked on 186. So let's open it and see what we can do. At the time, I was shooting JPEGs. Don't ask me why, because I don't know why, but I was shooting JPEGs. So this is going to open right in Photoshop, and then we'll transfer it over to Camera Raw. As you can see, it's a little bland here. I think I can do something with this in Photo Raw and Camera Raw, rather. So yeah, let's go right to Camera Raw and go filter, Camera Raw filter. Let's see what happens here. We'll open it up there. First thing we're going to do is just hit auto process here and see what happens. So yeah, that brightened her up a little bit. It's still a little orange, so let's go to white balance and hit auto and see what happens there. Not too much. So let's see what we can do. The color, let me get the exposure right here. Let's try my exposure and see what happens. Control Alt, exposure. I think we can brighten that up quite a bit. That's too much. Maybe we're going to darken it up about there. And then we're going to go down to whites, see what we can do there. We're going to just get rid of the highlights there, and now let's go to blacks. Blacks, I don't mind if I have some blacks on the interior at all. Okay, that's looking a little better. Let's increase the exposure just a touch right there. Now that barn was, the paint wasn't really good, but it was a little more colorful than that. Let's try a little vibrance. Well, let's go down with the vibrance. I always like to start at 0 with vibrance and saturation, and let's see what happens if we increase it a little bit here. Kind of like that, quite a lot of vibrance, and the sun was shining from the west to the right. To the right of this is west, and it was a really pretty afternoon. You can see the clouds. There was a storm coming in, and the sunshine was shining through some clouds as it was setting. It was late in the afternoon when I took this. Let's see here. Let's go to, I don't know. Does it need contrast? Let me look. Oh yeah, that just, I like that. How about exposure down a little bit? No, got to be right there. You know what? I like that. Look how sharp that is. I mean, let's try a little texture increase and a little clarity. Increase a little bit there. Let's look at it a little larger. Let's go to 100%. Man, that's pretty sharp. I'm happy with that. All right, let's open this up in Photoshop and see what it looks like, how much difference we made in it. That made a little difference, actually, didn't it? Let's go edit, undo. Yeah. That's a pretty picture, actually, that old barn. One of the first things I do when I go to Photoshop is I go edit, image adjustments, and then I go to levels. I've got the default on my levels, so when I push, it's set so that when I hit auto, it corrects the color, and I always hit auto to see if I'm happy with what the computer thinks my color should be. Let's see. Didn't change hardly at all, did it? And then I'll go to options and see find dark and light colors. That's what I have is set at default. So that's when I hit auto, it find dark and light colors. But let's try enhance brightness and contrast. No, I don't like that. Let's go to skip find dark and light colors and go to hit enhance per channel contrast. Is there much difference there? No. Enhance monochromatic contrast. What's the difference between what I had? No. I like that. It's about what I want right there. So we hit OK. And OK. I like that picture. I think we're going to print this guy. It looks good. Yeah. There you are, the whole old homestead, 1869. William Mondor was the person who built this. He was one of the pioneers who settled in the Yakima Valley, one of the first people to, not the very first, but one of the first families to settle in the Yakima Valley was the Mondor family. And I've sold quite a few pictures of ancestors of William. This was a neat old barn, let me tell you what. This is the printer we're going to be using today, Epson SureColor P800, a very fine printer in my opinion, and I'm very happy with it. So in order to start, the first thing we do is turn the machine on. So this flips out, very handy. The power button's right here. You just push that. You see the blue light comes on, and it'll do its cycling thing here. Get it all ready to go. Generally, I push this back in because the way I do things, it kind of gets in the way a little bit. Just push this tilt out back in. Down here is a door that you push to open. It opens up very nicely. This is your paper tray that comes out, folds out like that. And down underneath here, this little gray bar right here that you see, in order to feed paper the way I'm going to have to feed paper today for this photo, you just give it a slight push in like that, and you see it pops down. Now, according to Epson's instructions, you're supposed to take your paper and feed it in here until it comes up. There's a little door back here. It's supposed to go in there and then curve up and come out here. That is really hard to do. So I'm going to show you a trick I found that saves me a lot of time, because I've stood here for 10, 15 minutes trying to get that stupid piece of paper to come out here. I couldn't do it. There's a trick to it. You got to have it held just right, and you have to be looking at a certain direction as far as I know. So let me grab a piece of paper here. We'll show you what we're doing. So here's the paper we're going to use today. Let me push this back out here. So this is Epson cold pressed natural paper. I love this paper. And there's a hot pressed natural too that is not textured. This has a little texture to it. And yeah, I love it. So anyway, we're going to get a piece of paper out of this. I'll pull this out. When you buy Epson paper, they put a handy little tag here that says this side up, a printable side up. So in case you forget, but it is handy. So as you can see, I'm running a little short on this paper. I'm going to have to order some more. So pull this out and pull out one piece of paper from under the yellow sheet. Put the lid back on it. Lay that down here. This is the upside right there. So, because I can't, I'll show you what happens here. Watch me do this. Now you're supposed to put this paper in here like this and feed it through. Right there. That's as far as it goes. And I've actually ruined, well, that got a little crimp on it there. Actually ruined some paper by trying to do this. So I quit doing it. And I found out there's a much easier way to do it. So I'm going to reposition the camera right now, and then I'll show you how that works. Be right back. All right, so this is what, when I feed this paper in from the front, it is supposed to come up and make the curve here and come up and sit in this tray. That's what it won't do for me. So I found out this isn't in the instructions, and also the instructions definitely say that if you use the bottom tray, which we're not using today, definitely don't do this. But doesn't say anything about this operation right here. So I just take this paper and just slide it down this tray, and it just feeds right in like that, and you'll see it come out the front. So it's just that easy. You just do that, okay? Now we'll move you around to the front, and we'll show you what happens. So now you can see the paper right here. We'll zoom out a little bit here. All right. There we go. So now you can see this paper that I put in the back tray, this one here. See it comes out the front. When that happens, you'll see over here there's a guide that you need to push the paper, your paper right over against that guide, and then push it until it's flush with the front of the tray. All right then, we are nearly ready to send this to the printer. A couple more things I have to do here. First thing we're going to do is resize it to 12 by 18 so that it will fit on the 13 by 19 paper. So we'll go here, excuse me, go up here to image, image size, and the resolution on this now is 180. First thing I'm gonna do is make sure that resample is unclicked. I don't want it to resample the image. So I unclick that, change the resolution to 300. And then I'm going to change the width here from 13 inches to 18. And that drops the resolution to 222 pixels, which it's nothing. That'll print up just fine. So the height of this, it's too high here on this format, so I need to crop this to 12 inches. So I'll just leave that there. I'll leave it 13.5, click OK. Go up and check my image size again. There you are, 13.5 by 18. Cancel that. So we'll get the crop tool right here. And we're just gonna crop this to 12 inches. I usually watch the little black rectangle on the right side there. Goes with the cursor. That seems to work a lot better than rulers for me. So we're almost to 12. That's pretty dang close. That's good right there. Then we'll move our crop around until we're happy with it. I'm going to drop it down to right about there. I'm just going to leave the, oh, what happened there? I love it when that happens. So I'm just going to leave that branch at the top right. I'm just going to leave it just in the picture. And that looks good there. Crop it. That looks good. One more thing to do, just one more. So I've got a brush preset that has my written signature on it as a brush. You can see it flopping around there across the red barn there. So I can make that any color I want, but in this case, I'm just going to leave it over here on the white. Whatever color you have in your top color square there is what color the brush will be. So, but I'm going to leave it to white. And also, by using the bracket keys on the keyboard, I can make it larger or smaller. Think that's big enough right there? Yeah. No. Let's go down. I don't like to make it real big. There we go. And so this is set up so that all you got to do is click the button on your mouse to put that image, put that signature wherever you want it. And the more you click it, the brighter it gets. So you have some control over it. I usually click it 4 times. Let's see what that happens. Yeah, I like that. You see, it's not really obnoxious, but it is there. And I think we're ready to print this. I'm gonna hit File, save it. I'm just gonna save it as a JPEG, so I'm gonna save it as, I'll put it in my file here for this video. Let's go here, go to videos, Mondor Barn, and we're gonna just make it print. Leave the image number on there. Print image, cool. And we'll save that. 10 quality is plenty good enough, and we're just going to click OK. There it is. We got this ready to print. Now, we just need to send it to the printer. So let's go through that process here real quick, and then we can actually see what this is going to look like. First thing you do to send it to the printer, of course, is go up here to File. That's where I could hit Control P, but I don't do that. So you go to File, Print, and the first thing it brings up is the Photoshop print settings. I generally go to just print settings here underneath the printer name right here. It says print settings. I push that little button and it brings me to the Epson settings on here. So this is, when you get on this page, you need to make sure everything is correct on it. So first down, I'm only going to show you what I change. There's a lot of options on this, but man, they get real confusing. So I'm only going to show you what I do. Once you get on to printing, you can go in here and experiment all you want. But to get your first prints going, I'm just going to make it as simple as I can because it is confusing. So first thing you do is go to Media Type, and that is what kind of paper you have. So we are using cold press natural. See, when you load your printer, generally you get a lot of options here just by loading the printer software. So, and this is in it when you load the software, all this information. So I'm going to hit cold press natural. Color, I'm going to leave it there. Quality, I'm just going to leave it on quality. That's it. Not high quality, just quality. This is an important one here. The mode, you got to be sure this says off, no color adjustment. It gives you all these options here, but just make sure it says no color adjustment. That gives that lets Photoshop take care of your colors and not the printer. That's what that does. The source it tells you what tray you're going to be loading your media in, and that is all dependent upon what kind of paper you put in there, what kind of media you tell it you're going to use. And the size is 13 by 19. There's a lot of choices, but you just put in what size paper you're going to be using. You can also go here to user defined, and if you're using an odd size paper, you can put that in there, and it'll come up in this list too, if you need it again. I'm going to leave the print preview in. You don't have to do that, and I'll show you why here in just a minute, why I do it, and it just is a safeguard for me. I'm not gonna print borderless on this. So that's basically that for there. If you go to page layout, it asks you what format you're doing. No, portrait or landscape. We're doing landscape. Paper size 13 by 19. Output paper is the same as the paper size, and that's the only things you got to worry about here. Is generally everything else is set up for you on this. So when you get that all set up and make sure everything's right, I usually go over it a couple of times. You hit OK. This brings you over here to your Photoshop setup. So, of course, you make sure you got the right printer selected. Sometimes it's got stuff in there you don't even know what it is and don't have it. And how many copies you want. We're only going to do one copy. This asks you again if it's portrait or a landscape. And you see it changes when you do that. So if this preview is right here, then you got to change something. And this is an important one. Make sure you have Photoshop manages colors, not printer. You want Photoshop to manage your colors. Here's another one asking you for your printer profile. So you want cold press natural. I mean, I want cold press natural, so it is right here. So you see, there's a lot of stuff here. I don't use any of them. Just cold press natural or other, just the real simple ones. If I'm using another type of paper, I just put that in there. So yeah, we're putting cold press natural right there. And normal printing, relative color metric, I use that. Sometimes you can use perceptual. Those two, perceptual and relative color metric, seem to be the best choices. And there is a difference. When you get into printing, you can experiment and see those differences. Most of the time it's a subtle difference, but it's nothing to worry about unless you get really picky, I guess. I'm not. I just want my pictures to look like I want them to look. And if they do that, then I'm fine with it. So you get that all done, and you're basically done. So the next thing you do here is hit print, and I'm going to show you something here. Yeah, I know, I'm low on ink. So this is your preview. It's kind of a safeguard. Once you hit print, if you select show print preview, this is going to pop up. Now you'll notice colors are not right. I used to worry about that a lot. I don't know the reason why they're not right, but this isn't how your print will look. Your print will look how you have, for the most part, it'll look like what you see on your screen. I don't know what this means here. The only reason I have the preview is to check to make sure my borders and margins are right and that the size is right. I want it to fit on the paper the way I want it to fit on the paper. So you see, I have a margin all the way around here. That is the only reason I look at this print preview. Someday maybe I'll figure out why the colors are off, or maybe someone will tell me why those colors are off. But like I said, I don't worry about that. So if the image looks right to you, then you just hit print and wait and watch your printer, and the paper will start feeding through, which is what we're going to see right now. I'm going to hit print and we'll go for it. All right, there it is. It's pretty close to the original, pretty close to what it looks like on the screen in there. It's a nice looking picture, 12 by 18, 13 by 19 paper. I'm pretty happy with that. The time on that was right around, I think 3.5 minutes is what it took to do this. That's a pretty old barn. That is a pretty old barn, isn't it? All right, there you are. And that's my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a challenge, let me tell you that, but I think we did okay. So I'll see you next time. You guys take it easy. Bye now.